Recorded live on the turf at Mad Lab Training Studio in Eldersburg, Maryland. This is the Time to Win podcast with Alex and Dan. Now let's get this podcast started.
Read that to me, Dan.
All right. Some people chase pain harder than others, consciously or subconsciously. Some use it to inflate their sense of self-importance. Others test their will by working through it. Each of us has a threshold someplace short of serious harm. Kevin's different. His definition of pain is more highly evolved than ours. He's willing to hurt himself permanently to get what he wants.
Yes. I don't want to be like that. I
All right.
But it serves as I don't know.
Barometer?
A barometer, a benchmark that others can measure against, right? I mean, it may be like in the statistical world, we used to talk about like 6 sigma variation, right? Like standard deviation, or like 90% of data in a normal distribution falls within 2 or 3 within 3 standard deviations of the mean, plus or minus 3 standard deviations. So guys like Kevin Doyle are out there at like 8 sigma. Like he's 1 in a billion, right? It's the people like that guy are so uncommon that most people never get a chance to meet them in their life.
Well, now I'm curious because of what he said. So when he says that, what does he want?
Okay, so the context of that quote, that's from Kiss and Kill.
Okay.
Kiss or Kill, I guess.
I remember you.
Yeah, that book
before.
by Mark Twain. Yeah, and the context is they have gone to Nepal to climb one of the highest mountains in the world, and they're going to do it without oxygen, without Sherpa support. They're just going to blitz it, right? Like 4 guys, and they're just going to go after it. And they're not going to set up camps. They're going to take everything they need, and they're going to charge up the mountain until they can't, right?
Okay.
And that's the context. And they're not sleeping. They have no sleeping bags. They have no tents, right? They're just going for it. And they're going to
how many days does it take to do that?
Nobody's ever done it before. Nobody knows. These guys got blown off the mountain and nearly died in the process.
So they didn't make it.
They did not make it to the summit, okay?
God dang, so that is a wild thing to attempt.
So like on Denali, that's the highest mountain in North America, there's a route called the Czech Direct, right? And the first time it was climbed, it took 11 days, right? A team of like 6 guys, 11 days. So Twite and Steve House and some of his guys, using the same principle, did it in 60 hours. Non-stop, 60-hour blitz, right? 11 days to 60 hours, like 2.5 days, right?
That is wild.
No sleeping bags, no tents. When they were done with gear, they wouldn't pack it down. They just throw it off the mountain, and that was it. And they got to the top, and they were like so blitzed out that it was crazy. I mean, it's a great story, right?
Yeah.
And again, these are like kind of the benchmarks.
How do you get back down?
You go down a different route for one thing.
Oh, so
you go down an easier route.
An easier
right?
route, yeah.
Right. And there were some. I mean, Denali is like crowded with alpinists, right? It's a worthy goal, and so, they're up there doing this, and their friends knew that they were doing it, and they were following them like from the glacier, 10,000 feet below. They're like, watching them through binoculars, and they're like, holy shit, they're going to make it. And so they charged up the easy side of the mountain and met them as they were descending with like hot drinks and
cool.
food and stuff, right?
Yeah.
They salvaged them.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't a rescue, but it was a nice gesture. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great gesture. I'm sure it was very much appreciated.
So, Dan, today, here we go. What time is it?
It's time to win, baby.
It's always time to win. And we were talking about our tagline a couple days ago. Like from dinner to domination. We show you how to win hard, something like that.
How to win and win hard.
Yeah, and so in honor of that, I have a visual aid here today. And Mike, I'm not sure which camera I should be holding this up. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
This is the bag of How to Win Hard. Okay.
All right.
And special guest appearance. We've got the clipboard of doom. Okay?
Clipboard of doom is very important.
With all my notes. But before we get into it, everyone loves a shout out, right?
Everyone loves a shout out.
Get us started, Dan. Who are we shouting today?
I'm going to shout out my sister, Jennifer, well, I guess Ludwig now.
Okay.
Formerly Jennifer Gilbert, because she's married.
Right.
To Kahu Ludwig, who's an amazing guy.
Nice.
2 little kids, Rory and Pico, that could, at some point, and it looks like they try every day, take over a small piece of the world.
That's the way we like to raise our kids.
Yeah. So I thought I'd do a person shout out.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I was going to do the same. I've got this. I've got 2 colleagues from one of my former lives, Uncle Mike and Sweet Valentine.
Wake up, Sweet Valentine.
Wake up, Sweets. And that's all we have to say on that one. Quick shout out to you, Sweet Valentine. I know you're heading up to Killington today. Good luck. Don't get hurt. Slay. And wake up, Sweets. Okay.
I also got to shout out my good friends at CNA Auto. You have any issue with your car or truck or van or whatever it is on 4 wheels, you go to my friends at CNA Auto. Adam owns it. He's an amazing guy. He's got an amazing team, and they will take care of you for a reasonable price.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Good job, Adam.
CNA Auto.
CNA Auto. So, okay, before we get started with, how to win hard.
How to win hard.
We had an episode a few weeks back. It's called Just Ask, right?
Just ask.
Whatever you want, just ask. So I started asking around, and, some of our biggest supporters have not hit the subscribe button yet, right? Like I asked some people, I hit the subscribe button.
I hit the subscribe button.
I don't
too.
know if Mike has hit the subscribe button.
I think I was our 100,000th subscriber.
Oh, you were late to the game.
I won a bag of peanuts because of that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We got to get Adam into the sponsorship role now, right?
That's right.
If you subscribe and your viewer 1 million or subscriber 1 million, you get like a gift coupon,
which we're only a couple away from.
$25 off any service at CNA. Right?
Yeah, I'll give you one of these Jocos for no cost.
Right.
New can. Orange is the best flavor, I would say.
I'm not drinking orange today. Well, whatever this is, watermelon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, what's it called though?
I don't know. It's Jocko. That's all I know.
They usually have a
new improved flavor. This is called. I don't know. It doesn't even say. It usually has. It is watermelon. Yeah.
This just says orange. Usually they had I thought they had clever names. Maybe they switched that out.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody got mad at them.
I'll tell you one thing. If Jocko were here in the room talking to us right now, I'm not sure that he would ever appreciate being called clever, right? Or cute, or I think
cute
Jocko,
and clever are very different.
I know, but they're on that same sort of, they're on the wrong side of the line for me, right? I want people to be smart, committed, intelligent, hard driving, right?
Yeah.
Thoughtful, intelligent. If I didn't already say that, I think Jocko's all those things, but I don't think he'd appreciate being called clever, right? We don't want clever people.
See, us here at Mad Lab, we're wild, reckless, and aggressive. That's what we look for.
Yeah, the tagline of Mad Lab is "Welcome to the Agro Hut."
That's right.
Okay. So, couple follow-ups from last week. We were talking about taglines, right? And I asked you, what's your tagline, right? I told you my tagline, the Pharma Pro with a punk rock past, right? And that's right. Super easy to remember. Did you come up with a tagline?
I did not. Okay. I should have.
Okay, I'll ask again next week, all right?
Oh, I definitely got to do my homework.
And because
this does feel like school. This is exactly what would happen in class. Dan, did you do your homework? No, I did not.
Again. But it's part of branding, right? And branding is important. And one of the things I wrote down on my list here of things to talk about is nicknames, right?
Well, what would you tagline me as?
Well, I don't know what I'd tagline you as, but I know that when we give people nicknames, right? Nicknames build community, and you earn your nickname. You earn your handle in the community, right?
Like Sweats.
Or Sweets.
Sweets,
right?
I mean.
Yeah, Sweets. Right? Or Producer Mike, he's not just Mike Hamilton, he's Producer Mike, right?
That's Monster Mike Hamilton.
Dan already has a tagline.
I do?
The Mad Gilbert.
The Mad Gilbert.
Okay. That's what I think of.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The Mad Doc, right? The Mad Professor? I don't know.
Something.
Well, we're gonna hook you up with a nickname, and once we hook you up with a nickname like War Machine, right?
War Machine's a great nickname.
That's an awesome nickname. And nicknames build community, right?
They
They
do.
make you feel like you're part of the program. You're like you're an insider, right? So I'll give you your nickname, and maybe the tagline will follow. All right.
Okay.
So now I have homework for next session. Okay, right. So I've been teasing you for a whole week now.
For a whole week.
About what we're going to talk about today.
This is this might be the most curious I've been. Actually.
So maybe your tagline is curiosity killed the cat, but it made the monkey famous. And that's a great tagline.
Great man once said that.
Yeah, Coach Dan. Right?
Coach Dan.
Okay, so yeah, I asked you the question, what does Alex have that most people need? Okay.
Yeah.
I teased you with that. I said I'd mention Carrie by name. And by the way, Carrie has one of the same things that I have that most people need and most people don't have, right? And I guess my note on here says it takes a lot to win. And I have two things to help the kids win, all right? The first one is this bag, the How to Win Hard Kit. And one of the things you need, right? Did you get that? Yeah, there it is. How to Win Hard. In this bag, Dan, I have my workout journals.
Oh, wow.
From the last 20 years. I'm on volume 5 right now, right? And volume 5, actually, I had an entry just yesterday. It says Mad Lab, RFEs, pull-up rehabs, push-ups, TRX rowing, general mobility work. Then 3-mile walk at Morgan Run with Warhound Hilda, right? And it just goes on and on like this for 20 years. Actually, the first entry was like 2005. And back here in volume 1. And I go back and I mine these journals like a couple times a year. I'll just open one up and I'll look back on it and say, what was going through my head back then? And a lot of it is the same thing that's going through my head now, but you can see that things have changed also. Like I was looking at volume 1 and there was a gap there. It said, wow, I just came back to the gym after 12 days off, right? And I'm like, I never take 12 days off anymore. I mean, hell, I had COVID earlier this year and I took like 3 days off, right?
Why do you know why you took 12 days off?
The entry says I needed a week off, right? So that'd be like, for me, a week off is like 5 working days, right? And I took 5 days off, and for some reason, I lost my mojo and I lost my momentum. And I just carried it over. So I went 12 whole days.
Do you remember what was happening at that time?
I was like I was in the career grind. But it was in 2005 or 2006. And I was just getting into sort of like the discipline of daily fitness, right? Prior to that, it was just, the struggle of going to work every day and the struggle of raising a family and maintaining a marriage and, keeping my finances straight. And, I just didn't have like that goal of what I wanted to be other than, I had professional goals and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I was just in the grind and I thought I need to start keeping a journal. I need to keep up with this stuff. I need to like take notes and that will help motivate me. But it's funny because I go back and I look at this stuff and like in some ways the struggle is still the same struggle. In some ways I've lost some of the stuff. Like I was a competitive power lifter for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore, right? That's not one of my goals. So there's a ton of like squatting and deadlift workouts here, and like the famous Russian squat program where like in 12 weeks I added 100 pounds to my 1 rep max.
Gosh, dang.
And it's all in here, right? And it's really cool to go back. So kids, how to win. One of the things you have to do to win is you have to keep track of what you're doing. And when you feel like, you're sliding or backsliding or you're losing, go back and mine your journals and see just where you've come from, right? See how slow you used to run compared to how fast you're running now. Or see how little weight you could pick up compared to what you're deadlifting today, right? These are important things about winning, Dan. And, I think that if...
Speaking of winning... Look at the Bob Kennedy right here.
Winning.
Yeah, right on. Bob Kennedy.
I just came to fix
So that's how to win number 1, right? How to win hard.
How to win hard.
Keep a journal, but that's just a preamble to the big setup here. Okay, so what does Alex have that everybody needs? What does Carrie have that everybody needs? Okay? Yeah. Don't guess. All right?
Okay.
I'll just tell you.
All right.
Coaching, right?
Okay.
So Dan, I am coached. I'm actually coached by you. I tell people you're my mobility coach, right? And you're the guy that runs Mad Lab. You're the madness behind the lab. And
that is true.
but because you're my coach, you see things in me that I don't see in myself, right? And you like everybody has blind spots, right? And
I definitely do.
Right? And I do too. I am so incomplete. I'm like Swiss cheese, man. I have so many blind spots. I'm full of holes, right? And coaches help you see around your blind spots, right? And they say, wait a minute, you're not doing this. Like I didn't realize I had terrible ankle mobility issues until I came to the lab. And you're like, oh man, you're a mess, right? So I thought coaching is really, really important thing. Carrie has a coach, right? I think it's you, all right? But maybe he has some other coaches as well.
We all put Jules puts her input in.
Right.
I put my input in.
Yeah. And these things are so important to winning because like left to my own devices, when I was just out there like trying to get stronger or stuff, totally on my own. And Dan, it was like an endless cycle of injury and rehabilitation, and inefficient mechanics. And, I didn't have anybody telling me how to do it right except myself. And I made gains predictably, but I didn't make really good gains. I was never really good at what I did. Okay, so I threw it out there coaching. I got a lot more to say about this, but what's your initial take on that?
Well, I would say that's probably kind of goes into what we talked about when we were talking about us being part of a society and like what that means. I think that if you're societal creatures in the first place, you do have to, there's a give and take there, right? Mm-hmm. And having a coach is just like having a mentor, having people to take advice from, having people to highlight your weak points or like fortify your strong points, right?
Right.
If they've done stuff that before you that you're really good at now and you have strengths in, but you're not sure what the path is to take the most advantage of it for yourself and for the people around you. So I think that is important. I think coaching feeds into all of that. I think that should be a staple of what anybody does at all. So I think you laid on a couple of things. So one, tracking your progress with anything that you're interested in is very important because otherwise it's really tough to tell what your progress has been when you start to fall behind and get upset about maybe you didn't do something that day and then you look back and you're like, oh wow, I've really progressed from this time. It just feels like I'm not now, but it looks like I've done that before and then I will again. And then also knowing what works, what doesn't work as well. I also think you said something about goals. I think it's super important to know where you're trying to go to, right? And to set, I know everybody says this all the time. And they say, like, you need to set short-term goals and long-term goals, but that is super important because your long-term goals are going to mold all of your decision-making right now. Mm-hmm. And then it makes it so much easier to make decisions because you're trying to be a certain way consistently, and then you can kind of mold what you actually want to be. Short-term, yes.
So, you're talking about goals, and I said I'd mention Carrie, right? Like, okay, so Carrie and I come in here and we have completely different goals, right? Like Carrie says, I want to get as big as I can, right? That's his number one thing.
You guys do have completely different goals.
And me, I want to be able to move again.
He wants to do a bodybuilding competition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's an excellent point, right? Carrie is going to need very different coaching than I'm going to need, right? And so it's important though to realize that, coaching is goal dependent. I think that's what you were just saying, right? It's goal dependent, and you gotta have a good set of goals.
Let's take this further.
Okay.
Life is goal dependent.
Oh man, I'm so glad. I swear I did not tee you up for this one.
You haven't teed me up for anything. I have no idea what you're doing or going to say or anything. So believe me,
that's okay. I don't
today.
either. No, I'm now on page 2 of my notes.
Sweet.
Okay? So I have other coaches, right? Like I've got a strength and conditioning coach that happens to be the same as my mobility coach. But like if you want to win, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Winning looks different on any given day, and it looks different depending on your goals and so, like there's a lot that goes on outside of the gym, and you have life goals. So like I have like a psych coach, right? Like somebody that helps me understand what's going on mentally. How can I develop like my mental toughness, and how can I stay focused?
It's hard to find a good coach like that.
It is. But then I have a life coach, right? Her name is Agent B. She helps me set goals, right? And gives me realistic feedback on like how
realistic feedback for sure.
It is seriously like cognitive coach, like not just mental strength training, but like intellectual training, right? Tactical coaches, like how to get through the day, how to plan your day, like time management coaching. I have accountability partners in my life, right? In fact, the guy I mentioned earlier, Uncle Mike, Mike Shearer, he's one of my accountability partners. And he and I probably talk every day about what we did in the gym, okay?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then we usually like start our conversation off like one of us will call the other one and say, "Wake up, sweets," right? but yeah, to have an accountability coach, right? Or accountability partner. I think that's really important. If at any point you feel inspired, just hop right in and run with it. Right?
Always.
Okay. I have a finance and a tax and a legal coach, right? Like I have a financial planner, I have a tax guy, I have an attorney, right? These people are super important in helping me like manage other affairs in my life that I don't know anything about, right?
So you're saying to win, you need to attach some smart people.
Oh my God! Like I was hoping to spin
whatever
this
goals
out.
that you have.
I was hoping to spin this out for like another 30 minutes, and you went straight to the bottom line, and that is like surround yourself with smart people. Surround yourself, and surround yourself with people that are different from you, right?
For sure.
Like I don't know. Did we talk about like having like hiring weirdos or people that are outside? Yeah.
We said, we talked about just being weird in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Tom Peters, right? And one of my mentors, he always said, hire people from outside your industry. Hire people that think differently. Hire people that are classified as weirdos in the business.
But a lot of people don't do that.
I know.
We hire from within. And I think that is important to hire from within, but I think that you should have a balance just like anything else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're only going to get one perspective because everybody's come in, fed into your culture and everything, and you're not going to get to the blind spots. Right. And it's good you're going to have some culture people, which I think is very important. But then you are not going to get those other perspectives.
Right.
And a lot of times you're going to continue along the same path. And if there's an issue with the path, you're probably not going to know it until too late.
Right.
And I think that can bleed over into all sorts of different things.
So
for sure.
So there's like some of these coaches. I'm gonna just continue listing like coaching opportunities. In some cases, I have these coaches in my life. In other cases, I don't. I want them. Okay. Like a nutritionist. I need a nutrition coach. Okay.
We can do that for you, Alex.
Yeah, I know, but you already have your hands full with like with the mobility and the strength and conditioning. But yeah, right, like most people do not have a nutritionist, and Dan, it's crazy to me. Like
finding a good nutritionist is very difficult.
Yeah, okay,
because you have a lot of people that are stuck on FDA guidelines, which to me are complete bullshit. Complete bullshit.
Like the real estate market. What is that?
Well, the National Association of Realtors, NAR.
Let them go, man.
Yeah, they just went through a settlement, and I'm just like, I wish they got sued for more money. Like I just don't. Yeah. Organizations like that have been around for such a long time, and talking about they consistently change laws just so that their organizations stick around. Not because it's for the good of the people, not because it's an industry that helps business or does anything like that. Like to me, that whole thing should just die off. And if people want to hire Realtor, I don't even think realtors should be necessary for residential.
Right. So, okay, fair point, Dan.
Yeah.
Right? Like most people don't know the process of buying a house, right? So they go with a realtor because they are confused.
Yes.
And the market intentionally confuses people, just like the nutrition market confuses people.
I think it'd be
right?
great to hire a coach like that and hire somebody for advice, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
but the amount that those people get paid is like, it's ridiculous. And I was
Oh, it
one.
is. It
I was
is.
one. So
Yeah.
I'm coming from a place where I looked at it and I was like, why do we get paid this much for some of these transactions?
So, okay, I'm going to go on a tangent with that then. Some professions exist solely to perpetuate themselves.
Yes.
Okay, right? No dispute, no discussion, right? One of my mentors said to me one time, if you're starting a business, from day one, you should have a plan to obsolete your business and get out of it, a plan to kill your business. Otherwise, your goal will no longer be to provide the service. It will be to survive forever, right? To survive and grow forever.
Well, maybe not
right?
kill your business, but like give it to somebody else and prolong, depending on what it is.
Get yourself out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
get yourself out.
So, and yeah, like the last job I had was I was over there for like
Politicians have a giant problem with
They have a huge problem with this, right? Yeah. The last job that I went to, I was there for 5 years before I retired, and it was a big corporate gig, right? It was a publicly traded company. I was a senior executive there, and one of the first things they did was they had an onboarding process. They called it new leader assimilation, right? Sounds kind of evil, right?
It does.
And this was a facilitated exercise where my direct reports would sit down with me and they would go through a guided process with HR so that they could understand what I wanted and I could understand what they needed and things like that. And I may have told you this story before, but
What were your HR people like?
Huh?
What were your HR people like?
The guys I worked with were great. But again, remember the lens that I'm looking through. I'm like in a company of like, I don't know, 15,000 people. I'm in like the top 75 people in the company, right?
Right.
So I would see the company through that lens.
Yeah.
So, I had to be careful because I knew that people, because of the position, people would be trying to please me, right? So HR did a pretty good job with that. When they didn't, I let them know, right? And it happens sometimes. But this particular exercise was great. And when I went in there, I said, okay, everyone, there's a couple numbers I want you to remember, all right? The first one is 100%. And, everybody's sort of rolling their eyes thinking, yeah, Alex is the new leader. Of course, he's going to ask us to give 100%. And I said, no, that's not what I mean. There is a 100% chance that I will be gone, okay? I will either quit or I will get fired or I will die, right? And one of those things is going to happen, right? And nobody knows when, okay?
True.
And so you guys need to be in a position of running this department without me, okay? So I will not run your sites for you. And I had like 9 sites around the world. And I said, I will not run your sites for you. That is your job, okay? And part of your job is also to help me run the business, right? The big business, the global business. So that was it, right? 100% chance I'm going to be gone. And people don't think that way, right? They don't think about like planned. They don't think about their exit strategy.
No.
And they don't develop their people.
They think about the money that they're making and the people around them if they look a certain way and are relevant to the people around them. And to me, that is such a small lens and such a short-sighted thing.
Oh, totally.
It causes a lot of problems for a lot of people.
Right. So, like when we think about long term, like if we took a straw poll around here, and you ask people, what does long term mean to you? Some people might say a year, some people might say 10 years. I tend to
2
think,
weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. maybe we need to do some coaching here, Dan.
That is an understatement, my friend.
But for me, long term is like I think of like long term like interplanetary exploration missions, right?
Okay.
we sent the Pioneer spacecraft up in 1975. They're still mission capable to some extent.
When do you think we'll have regular people traveling to live on other planets?
It's tricky, Dan. I don't know. The industry's in change
tricky
right now. We're privatizing.
100 years? Do you think we'll have that? Less than that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say we're 100 years forward, and it's just regular, right? It's a regular thing that we are populating planets. Are you going?
Okay. Well, no. In 100 years, I'll be dead.
You don't know that.
Okay, so I'm a
You've died
scientist.
0 times so far.
I'm a scientist. Yeah, but every other person that has ever lived has died. Okay.
You don't know that either.
I'm pretty sure of that. Anyway, okay, I assume that in 100 years, I will either be dead or I will be so decrepit I will no longer want to travel space.
What about, what happens if you were a 25-year-old Alex?
Yeah, that's hard to say, Dan. I mean, that's a big life choice.
Life choice.
Like, I had this conversation with Agent B, I don't know, last year maybe. And, I said, space colonization right now is kind of like the Pilgrims coming over on the Mayflower. Like, we're leaving everything we know. We're taking almost nothing with us. There's a reasonably good chance we're going to die in the process, and there is pretty much 100% chance we're never coming back.
So this is great. That is an excellent statement to me, because I didn't even think of it this way until obviously you just said it. But remember when we talked about history, right? And then I talked about like how I would want history taught in schools, and that it should be less about the dates and more about the human behavior and the patterns therein, and how we can learn from that. And that's exactly one of them. So then do you think that the people that choose to go to these other planets initially, do you think that'll be for the same reasons, so that they don't get religiously persecuted, so that they're not slaves in their own countries, so that they can escape criminal punishment? So that, like,
it's hard to generalize, I think, but I think that the reason I think people would take that on because it represents a unique opportunity, right? And consider the fallout, right? Like, I think it's always been a point of pride amongst some people to say, oh yeah, my ancestors came over in the Mayflower, right? Or my ancestors fought in the Revolutionary War,
right,
or things like that, right? And to
like
some extent, like,
first generation of something, or second generation,
yeah. I think those are cool narratives. And I think the people that end up colonizing space, particularly the first person that dies in the colony, right?
Yeah.
And the first person to be born as a colonist are going to be immortal, right? Their names will go down in history.
Yeah,
right?
Kids will study those in history books. They're like, when was the first baby? Baby Benjamin was born in the year 2046.
Consider Virginia Dare. Does that name ring a bell?
Virginia Dare.
Virginia Dare?
No.
Producer Mike? Nope. Okay, so we'll get one of the interns to look up the wiki on that and give us a little backfeed on Virginia Dare, the first English colonist to be born in the New World, right?
As far as we know.
But as far as we know, and I think that was like the Roanoke colony. It wasn't Jamestown. It was pre Jamestown.
Pretty accurate, I'm sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
Well, I'm going to interject.
Go ahead, Producer Mike.
AI is going to take over in less than 20 years, so we won't be going anywhere. AI will.
So when you say AI was taking over, are we being taken over by robots or just by like programs in our brain? Like, how would you see AI taking over? You might be right.
I'm not on the podcast. I'm just interjecting.
Well, but I like that. But how would... So, because here's my problem, Alex. If AI is in the form of robots, right, and robots take over, the only way to stop that from happening is you have to have a robot friend, or you have to have a piece of yourself that is robotic. So you have to have every movie that this has ever happened, for them to be successful, that's the key. Yeah. You got to have like a robot arm, or you got to be half robot, or you got to have some robot friends. Otherwise, it's over.
So this is important, right? I mean, we're getting way off topic here, because I still want to talk about coaching.
Because I was going to ask you guys if you want to do any shout outs.
Do you want to do any shout outs?
No, I'm all shouted out, man. We told Sweets to wake up, and we love Adam.
Last night I was at the Locomotive.
Okay.
I'll shout out that. I'll Locomotive all day. My friends Mike and Tyler and Colleen own it. Great people. It's a great time. They serve amazing cocktails. The food is really good. Atmosphere is electric on a Wednesday night, I would say. Or Thursday night. That's when I was there.
Yeah.
Today's Friday.
And Dan, we have talked about doing a broadcast from the.
We do need to do that.
Yeah, from the back room at Local.
I'll bring it up to them on Sunday. I go over there on Sunday.
Nice.
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 We're gonna do a little D&D there.
Oh yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's good for your cognition too.
Something.
Right? Yeah.
By the way, the intern gave me a note here.
Oh, cool.
Virginia Dare was the first English child born in the New World, English colony, and what became of Virginia and the other colonists remains a mystery.
Which colony was it?
The Roanoke colony.
They're still looking.
Could
Yeah.
Alex get
Roanoke Island, North Carolina.
Alex gets every single possible point for this answer he could have gotten.
For the win.
For the win.
Right,
And that's what it is. Time to win. You know?
And now, if you want to, by the way, kids, if you want to win, always do the extra credit too. Okay.
Always do the extra credit.
So I don't know. Somehow we talked about coaching and we got into space travel, right? We talked about long term. I think that's what launched.
Yeah.
So I think of long term as being like, hundreds of years, right?
Well, then that would put along the track of AI, because that is an interesting track. Because I do think there's interplanetary travel, but then I also think that there's a big AI and virtual reality issue too.
Yeah.
Or maybe not issue, but opportunities.
Yeah,
like there's a lot going on there. But those three, I think, kind of meld together.
Yeah. So here's some interesting thoughts on AI while we're on the topic then. And maybe somehow we can drag it back to coaching, all right? But I'm thinking, Dan, that AI has two attributes to it that are important everyone remembers. The first one is AI is the product of programming, right?
Yeah.
Somebody had to program it, or a group of people. And programming always bears the image of the programmer. Okay, that's important.
That is important.
Not all AI is the same, right? The other thing is that there is a huge difference between artificial intelligence and sentience, okay? Like independent thought, right? And, we talk about machine learning, and that's cool and everything, but it's an algorithm, and it's hard. And we don't even understand what makes humans sentient. So I'm not particularly concerned about AI taking over everything, but I am super enthusiastic about AI taking over the stuff I don't want to do, right?
Yes.
Right? Like writing rough drafts, right? Or, like imagine if we had a little AI algorithm.
Writing rough drafts is one of the greatest things.
Yeah. I love when I finish my final draft, right? Mm-hmm. But I hate the idea of it is so hard for me to put down the first 1,000 words.
For sure.
Okay. And it looks awful. And I get there, but it takes a lot of lifting. Right?
Do you think because of that, exactly what you just said, that we're going to have like a renaissance in writing and novels?
No.
I think we will, because that is the hardest part of writing, is like just coming up and getting rid of writer's block on the first things. You could put in, and I want a story about this, have it put out, and then like you might not like any of it, but it gives you a skeletal structure to follow.
Maybe.
And if put some wording in, then you can put that in, then you can have it edited.
I
it's
know
just
this,
so much
Dan.
a faster process.
Yeah, like a renaissance, maybe. I doubt it, right? Because it's still, the final draft is still going to bear the image of the author.
Right.
Right. And if you use if you use ChatGPT to write a draft, right? It is so formulaic. Like it's absolutely clearly a bot-driven thing.
For sure, because we actually tried to play a D&D campaign that was AI-driven.
Right.
And it was like the same kind of things. But my point is more that writers can write faster. So we're going to get novels turned out faster, right?
Maybe.
So we might see a renaissance in that. Maybe renaissance is a little too strong of a word. But then the other thing is, even a year ago, what I just said was not commonplace and not possible. The AI has increased in its own technology in 3 years like other things have progressed in 300 years.
Maybe.
It's really, isn't it? It's a wild difference. I mean, the difference between last year and the year before of ChatGPT is so, it's so crazy different. So that's what I'm curious to see, like how much, if we don't, maybe I'm not even looking at this for as long term enough. Maybe it's, or from a bigger lens, it's not a novel renaissance. We're looking at a technology renaissance.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. And I think we are going to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Like 3D printing, right?
Yeah.
Like, 3D printing didn't revolutionize very much, but it certainly accelerated the evolution of technology, right? And I think that's cool, right?
For sure.
But AI doesn't bother me at all because at its heart, it still relies on a human controlling it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not too worried about it. I'm not a doom scenario kind of guy.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
being that I can't be killed, so.
Yeah. Okay. That's, man, that's one subject I don't want to go to, right?
It comes up once an episode.
It does. It does.
So coaching.
Like death and taxes. Right?
I need an immortality coach.
Yeah, okay. So
Well, I don't. I'm just kidding, but.
Like, I don't know. Like, if AI takes over, do you really want to live forever?
Maybe. I don't
know.
I don't know. I guess if
I think you'd get bored.
there's so much to this world, though.
I know, but I think you'd get bored. I mean, forever is a long time.
Forever is a long time.
So Dan, coaching then, right? If you want to be immortal, maybe what you need is a spiritual coach, right? Like
To maybe even find out if you wanted to be immortal.
I know, right? So like, I have a spiritual coach, right? I've said before to you in private, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, I'm a religious person. I go to church and, I believe in everything. But it's very helpful to have a religious coach or a spiritual coach to kind of help you at least work through some of those issues. Other interesting coaches. I wrote down bodyguard, right? Like some people need a bodyguard, right? Okay, you're thinking about that one. I can see it.
I am. So
yeah.
I think that really goes into a bunch of things. So one, I think that some people would think they need a bodyguard because they've never taken the opportunity to learn how to protect themselves.
Fair enough.
Number two, I think that there are certain people in certain positions that need bodyguards because there's other people that are after, like the president and stuff like that.
Yeah.
However, you could look at some of those positions to be like, why is a singular position that important that we must have a bodyguard for?
Okay.
And that brings up a ton of questions for me, too. That is probably a whole podcast in itself.
So right underneath bodyguard, I wrote wingman, right?
Well, wingman.
Okay. So like I'm thinking that like when I put bodyguard and wingman together, I think about my best wingmen out there, and they've definitely been bodyguards for me, but not the way you're thinking. These guys were bodyguards that were like, oh my God, Alex is going down the slippery slope. He's going to hurt himself in a minute if I don't intervene. He's going to do something stupid.
Ooh.
And so I had my best wingmen were always bodyguards protecting me from myself.
And you said that, what was your quote the other day? You were saying, the only thing, I fear nothing except for myself.
Dan, I'm not afraid of anything in this world except myself.
Well, you're not afraid of AI.
And I'm definitely not. And that's why I need a bodyguard / wingman whenever I go out.
To protect you from Alex.
Yeah, to protect me from myself, because I am
That's revolutionary.
Too impetuous, too irresponsible, too self-centered, to protect myself from all the harm that I could be doing.
See, that's what Jules does. Jules protects me from myself.
Well, there you go, right? That's an
every day.
So that's okay. Here's another one for you. Here's another category of people you want in your coaching quiver. Okay, how about a cleaner?
Man,
do you know what I mean when I say that?
Somebody to bury bodies for you?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
Right.
I need a cleaner, right? There's a couple times I needed a cleaner, and not because there were bodies involved, but to help me fix the mess that I had created.
Yeah.
Right? It's great to have cleaners out there. And, sometimes, like your bodyguard, your wingman can also be your cleaner, right? Like Agent B has occasionally come in and done cleanup work for me.
So in a perfect world, I think that person, that position would exist, right? You have somebody that cleans up your messes for you, like your figurative messes that you've left. You have somebody to protect you from yourself, so that you don't make too much of a mess of whatever situation that you're getting involved in.
Right.
And then also, what was the third thing that they're doing?
There's
Protecting you from
there's
yourself,
your
they're
bodyguard,
cleaning-
your wingman, and your
Wingman.
cleaner.
Yeah. And then they're also a wingman.
Right.
That is a invaluable position.
Right. Okay. So here's another one then, right? So Dan, like we're right on the cusp. We're right at that tipping point of going viral with this podcast, right?
Right.
Like the first 100,000 viewers, subscribers, that's hard. But going from 100,000 to 1 million is easy.
Easy.
Okay, super easy.
Super
and then
easy.
Going from a million subscribers to be on like Taylor Swift version.
Yes.
Right. Holy crap. That is at that point you really do need to have some other people. And one of the people you might want to have, one of the coaches or people you have around you, you might want to have an advanced team. Okay?
To pave the way?
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Okay, right. So let's see here. Let me think of a good example. Right. Okay. So I'm going over to China, right?
Yeah.
And when you go to China, you don't just land and go about your business, right? Like you can't rent a car unless you speak Mandarin. Okay. So you need to have an advanced team go in and like get your rental cars lined up, get your interpreters.
Get the streamline the logistics.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I could even use an advanced team when I go on vacation.
Right. Oh, totally, right?
Yeah.
We're going to go in here. We're actually going to get the party started, right? That's what advanced teams do. Dan, we're going to go on vacation.
What
We're
the
going to go
hell?
someplace
This is
awesome.
great.
Isn't it, right?
Now,
this is how to win hard.
So the wingman, bodyguard, cleaner.
Yeah.
That's like it's like a sidekick. Of sorts.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a good word for it. By the
What
way,
did Robin ever do for Batman? Do you think, did he do all of those things?
he was comic relief.
Yeah.
He took a couple punches.
He did.
Right. He helped out. He
did
key
give some
moments.
advice.
Yeah. But he was definitely comic relief, right?
Yeah.
And like that's maybe a subset of your wingman, bodyguard, cleaner person, your sidekick, your stooge, your fall guy.
That's why
patsy.
Spider-Man had such issues, is there was no sidekick
I
for
know.
Spider-Man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. These are people that are important to have in your crew. Okay. And so now we're moving from coaching to crew, right?
Yeah.
But
From
still,
coaching to crew, I like that a
right?
lot.
Okay. So, but whether it's your coach or whether it's someone in your crew, the role is still the same. They're going to help you cover your blind spots.
So you got your sidekick, you got your scouts,
Yeah.
right? You got 2 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them?
It depends.
Well,
Depends on what you
obviously
need,
it
right?
depends. Yeah. But at first, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, and Dan, I suppose it's important to point out these are people that are already signed up and committed to help you win.
Right.
Okay. You got to pick them carefully because there's so much bad advice out there.
You need some administrative.
Oh, I didn't even write
keep
that
you
one
straight?
down. That's a really good one. Administrative aids.
Because we're both ideas guys,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think that sometimes in the what did you call it, a thought storm?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in your thought storm, and it'd be really nice if somebody could organize the thoughts and then clean that part up.
Right. So that's interesting because I've got 2 others here on page 2 of 3. Right. We're still going strong
Yeah.
here. Right.
So then you have your kind of a personal assistant or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they organize your ideas, hand it over to your sidekick. Your sidekick goes, let's run with this one, advance team out.
Yeah.
Looks at another one and goes, oh, F no. He's not doing that.
Your wingman bodyguard said,
right.
no.
He says, we're not doing that one. Cross that one off.
Hey, this is now we're getting some momentum, right?
Yeah.
Like your team, your crew, your coaches are now covering each other's blind spots too, right? This is effective. I wrote down valet/butler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice person to have. Proofreader, I need that person.
Yeah.
Other coaches that I have, I've got a primary care physician, right? That's really important for me, right? I've got a cardiologist, an orthopod, I've got a dermatologist, okay? I wrote down sounding board slash second opinion, maybe that's the wingman. Somebody, a confidant that you can say, I was thinking about, and they say, it sounds pretty good. Have you thought about this as well?
I feel like that sidekick
Yeah.
can take care of that.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's a well-paid position right now as far as we're looking at it.
So So I
A lot of
think,
responsibility.
I think we're kind of getting up to that point in the podcast where we want to tie it together and kind of wrap it up here. So there were a couple things you said. You said surround yourself with smart people, right? And that is the cheese of this whole topic, right? That's the bottom line. Surround yourself with smart people committed to your excellence, committed to
Yes.
helping you win hard. We used to have a saying at work, or I used to tell people when I was coaching junior members at work. I said, never walk alone, right? Like if you have to do something that is questionable, politic it, right? Get other people on board. Like bring them onto your page. Make sure they know that you're about to do something that might be controversial or dangerous or not popular. Let them know, right? Never walk alone. Call your boss, call your wingman, call your crew, your coaches, and say, it'd be like me saying, hey, Dan, my goals have changed. I think I want to go climb Mount Everest next year. I'm going to have a ton of people that say, that's a terrible idea. I have other people who say, well, if that's what you want to do, here's how you do it,
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So, but the point is, never walk alone. In fact, I don't know if you're a football fan, like
huge football fan.
Premier League football, like European football.
I know a
right?
little bit about
Right?
Premier
So there's a
League.
team. There's a team from Liverpool, right?
Yeah, I know El Pool.
Yeah, and up the Scousers, right?
That's right.
Go Liverpool. The fans sing a song, "Never Walk Alone." Right? You'll never walk alone. And what a great feeling to know that, there's somebody out there that has your back, right?
It's always good. So you're saying, surround yourself with smart people. Get coaching. Don't worry about AI taking over. But if you are, then start assembling some robotic parts and robotic friends.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, Dan, if you want to win hard, surround yourself with awesome people committed to your success, and you will never, ever walk alone. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I like that. Well, where are we going now?
Yeah, Dan, I know where we're going. We're going straight to the top, baby.
Straight to the top, baby. Thank you, guys.
Dan, you're the man.
You're not. What?
Oh! Go ahead.